All right, so today we're diving into all the articles you guys sent over about Palantir.
Yeah.
This company that seems to have Wall Street scratching their heads.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they clash with traditional finance, but at the same time, they're experiencing this kind of wild stock growth.
Yeah.
So, like, what's the deal here? Are they just masters of chaos, or is there, like, a method to their madness?
What's really interesting about Palantir is that they aren't just defying the system. They're actually, like, leveraging it in a way that most companies wouldn't even try to. And a good example of that is just take CEO Alex Karp and his relationship with Wall Street analysts.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's combative, to say the least.
Yeah, Danny Karp doesn't exactly play by the usual rules, does he?
No.
Especially when you consider how much the retail investors seem to love that about him.
Right.
It's like they saw them being included on the S&P 500 as a win against, like, you know, the established...
Well, totally. And it's not just talk, right? Like, that enthusiasm actually translates into real market power.
Okay.
So to give you some context, Palantir's retail investor base is abnormally large.
Wow.
For a company their size.
Okay.
Like, some analysts are estimating that their influence alone could be accounting for a premium of, like, maybe even 20%.
Wow.
On their share price compared to companies with a more traditional investor profile.
So we're not just talking about, like, a bunch of Redditors pumping a stock here.
No.
These investors are actually moving the needle.
Yeah, they have real influence.
And speaking of the S&P 500, that 13% stock surge right after they got included, like, hard to miss that.
But what I found interesting was that some of the research I was doing on this index effect suggests that this kind of bump usually fades out.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Like, historically, you know, when companies get added to the S&P 500, you see this initial surge because a lot of the index funds, they're required to hold those stocks now. But then if we look at, like, similar tech companies that were added to the index back in, say, 2021, their average growth a year later was only, like, 5% above the index itself. So it makes you wonder, can Palantir keep this momentum going? Or are they just going to become another data point?
Yeah, because they did see 111% stock growth in 2024 alone. Which just blows the S&P 500's 18% growth out of the water.
Yeah.
Like, you can't deny those numbers. Yeah. And, you know, I think while Karp's, you know, let's say outspoken style and Palantir doing a direct listing and everything, like, that definitely feeds into that whole meme stock narrative.
Totally, yeah.
I do think it's crucial to look beyond that because their AI platform, AIP, that's what's really driving these results. Like, that's where the real substance is.
So let's unpack AIP a bit. What is it about this platform that's, one, you know, attracting so much attention? But more importantly, like, generating real growth for Palantir.
Yeah. So AIP, it really stands out because it tackles a challenge that plagues so many companies. Data analysis. Like, it's designed to be incredibly powerful. It can handle massive data sets that would overwhelm traditional analytics tools. But here's the key. It's also incredibly user-friendly. So it's not just for the, like, tech wizards out there.
Not just for the people in the basement writing code all day.
Exactly. And that's a big deal because it allows Palantir to target a much wider range of clients, right? So you have, you know, government agencies dealing with national security, but you also have, like, commercial businesses just trying to optimize their supply chains.
Wow. Okay.
You know.
That's a much wider range than I think I was initially thinking.
Right. It's not just, like, spooky government stuff anymore.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Like, imagine a company like, say, Coca-Cola.
Okay.
And they're trying to keep track of all their products from, like, the factory all the way to the supermarket shelf.
Across how many countries?
Wow.
Across, I don't even know how many countries, right? Like, dozens.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot.
A ton of data, right?
Yeah.
But how do you even make sense of it all?
Right.
Like, how do you identify the bottlenecks?
Yeah.
How do you, like, predict demand?
Yeah. How do you know if people in, you know, Vietnam are going to want more Diet Coke or whatever?
Exactly. And that's where AIP comes in. Right? It's not just about having the data.
Right.
It's about getting, like, actual usable insights.
It's like finding a needle in a haystack, but like, a million times bigger.
Totally, yeah.
Right.
On a massive scale. And they've got the numbers to prove it works, right? So in Q4 of 2023, Palantir's U.S. commercial business, 70% year-over-year growth.
Wow, okay.
And it's not just, like, small potatoes.
They had over 100 contracts worth over $1 million each.
That's wild.
With a bunch, like several in the tens of millions.
Okay, so these aren't just like small fry.
No, these are serious plays.
These are big dogs putting their money where their mouth is.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's clear that this AIP thing is resonating with somebody.
Sure.
But one thing that I found super interesting when I was reading these articles was their boot camp strategy.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's another example of Palantir just doing things differently, right?
Okay.
Like, instead of just talking about what AIP can do,
right,
they just, like, drop it right into a potential client's operation.
Really?
Let them see the value firsthand.
It's like a test drive, but for data analysis.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really interesting.
And it's incredibly effective.
Okay.
Like, in late 2023 alone, they ran over 500 of these boot camps.
Really?
That's a bold move.
Wow.
It shows that they're confident in the product and they understand their target market, right? Yeah. These are organizations with big, complex problems that need solutions now.
Right.
Not like, 2 years from now when the contract's finally negotiated.
Right.
They need it, like, yesterday.
Right. So it's not just about having the best tech.
Right.
It's about knowing how to deploy it.
Exactly.
In a way that's going to, like, really speak to the people who need it most.
It's about making it relevant to their problems. And that actually brings us back to their S&P 500 inclusion. Right. Because it wasn't just about, like, checking boxes or hitting some financial benchmark. Like, their success with AIP, it played a direct role in them getting there.
Right.
Like, they're showing that this different approach, it gets results.
It's like they're rewriting the playbook on how to build a successful tech company.
Yeah.
Like, Wall Street might be raising their eyebrows at this, but they're doing something right.
Right.
But is it replicable? That's the thing, right? Yeah. Like, could this be the blueprint for other companies, or are they just this, like, totally unique case?
Yeah. Is it a one-off, or is it the start of something, bigger?
Right.
Like a trend.
Right.
Like, it's too early to say for sure.
Yeah.
But they've definitely tapped into something powerful.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like they looked at the playbook and said, like, nah, we're good.
Yeah, like, we got this.
And what's crazy is they're not just, like, getting by.
Right.
They're crushing it.
Yeah, totally.
Which really makes you think, like, is there only one way to be successful?
Right.
Especially in a world like finance. Like, that's the old boys club.
It's supposed to be all, like, suits and handshakes and stuff.
Yeah, they're over here just, like, disrupting everything.
Yeah. Are we seeing, like, a new business model being born right in front of us?
Right.
Like, is this the future?
Where it's all about transparency and you're, going right to the retail investors.
Right. And not being afraid to, like, piss off a few people on Wall Street?
Yeah.
That's the question, isn't it? I mean, it's still early. We don't know for sure if Palantir is just like a fluke.
Right.
Or if this is, like, a sign of what's to come.
A trend.
But they've tapped into something, that's for sure.
For sure. Like, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, like when you combine cutting-edge tech with a group of investors that are like, ride or die.
They're all in.
Yeah, that's powerful. You can't deny that.
It makes you realize that, like, business is always changing.
Always.
And if you're not afraid to, like, shake things up a little bit.
You got to brace them out.
You might actually come out on top.
Exactly.
Well, this deep dive has given us a lot to think about.
Oh, for sure.
I feel like we could talk about this for another hour.
Easily.
But we'll spare you guys.
Palantir, it's a good reminder that innovation doesn't always come in, like, a nice little package.
Right. If it's messy and loud and a little bit, in your face.
A little bit Daddy Carp style.
Exactly.
So to all our listeners out there, as you're, following Palantir and seeing what they do next, what if their whole thing isn't about, like, sticking it to Wall Street?
Right.
But about changing what success even means.
Ooh.
Like redefining that.
I like that.
In the 21st century.
That's a good question. And you know what?
Wait.
I think the answer's in the data. We just got to find it.
There you go. Love it. All right. That's all the time we have for today.
Okay.
This has been another deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Until next time.